afternoon, everybody. We'll get started here in just a couple of seconds. Get what you need every second. Okay, very good. Morning. We'll call the meeting to order. This is a meeting of the Cumberland County Board of Elections. Today's date, November 22nd, 2022. Appointed hour, 11 a.m. It's arrived. Mr. Cobb's here. We can finally get started.
Thank you for waiting.
And, we will start with a roll call of members present, please.
Commissioner Eichelberger.
Present.
Commissioner Fauci.
I'm here.
Commissioner DiFilippo.
Present. Thank you. All right, that moves us into the period allotted for public comment. Anyone wishing to make comments or ask questions of the Board of Elections, now's your opportunity.
Okay, just a short comment. Another terrific election has gone by with nary a hitch, apparently. But really, I had two questions from my email that I was hoping to get answers for, and that was the meaning of .NCA, and I don't have it in front of me because I'm white, sorry. .NCA and not part of NCOA from a prior meeting. Where it was from CM's discussion about 60 mail-in ballots. Boy, I'm dropping everything. I apologize.
Oh, I mean, you got
Is
that.
that familiar with you?
Yeah, I do have the email. I'm not sure what it was referenced. That's why I haven't gotten back to you, because we're also trying to finalize the election.
Oh, sure,
So
of course.
I haven't had time yet. I was going to respond to your email. I just haven't had time yet. I don't know. I can't remember what we were referencing in that. If it was, I was talking about the people on that list. Some are part of the NCA process and some are not. And I think that's what I was referring to when I'm not sure.
It was just to clarify, and if you can't answer it today, there's no issues.
I can send you.
It was the 60 CM that was a dial-in person.
Right, the
said that-
62.
Yeah, 62, and then there was like a 25 were military, 11 were something else, and blah, blah, blah. And then you came down to the last two items and they were acronyms, and it's like, you know, what are
Right,
those
so
acronyms?
some of those, and I don't have them,
Yeah,
I don't have it in
no
front of me. So I can get you those numbers, but a few of the people on that list are part of the NCA process, which is the National Change of Address.
Yes.
Which is where we send the voters a letter saying the post office has this address, we have this address. Where do you live? Where do you want to be registered? And I can't remember the number of people, but it was like 2 or 3 or something like that were part of, that are in the process of the NCA.
Perfect.
So, yep, but I can get you those numbers.
Yeah.
Okay.
After when it's convenient for you, it's fine by me.
Okay.
Thank you. That's it.
Okay, very good. Thank you. All right, and
She is raising her hand.
okay, and we have the Zoom says CM. I think is it Carolyn Macharaju? I'm sorry if the pronunciation's wrong, but we're gonna designate this is time for you, Carolyn, if that's you. So proceed as you're able.
She has permission. She just needs to unmute.
Okay.
See, I'm sorry, that was on my end. Can you hear me now?
Yep, we're good.
Okay. So yes, Caroline Macharaju from Camp Hill. First, as always, thank you for opening this meeting to the public and allowing this forum. Since I can't be there in person and since I must Zoom in, I don't have the opportunity to interject after the mic is turned off. But I had some follow-up to Director Bethany's comments from last month, or I'm sorry, this month, the November 3rd meeting. And I was going to keep it to the singular issue of the dead people on the rolls. Bethany touched on the dead individuals still on the voter rolls, and she said if they died out of state, they may not be updated as quickly. And I just looked through the few on my list that I relayed to you all. Doris Hummer, she was one of my notables. She died all the way back in 2015. She died at the former Manor Care West in Camp Hill, according to her obituary. And there were others on the list. I'll rattle off one or two. Mary G. Brown of Camp Hill died in Camp Hill at Messiah Village. She died in 2016. She was on June's voter rolls just 5 months ago and only removed after I brought up the issue at the September meeting. Michael Baxey of Camp Hill died in 2019 at the Lebanon VA Med Center. He was on June's voter rolls as well. I could go on. There were more. these dead people remaining on the rolls this many years later is an issue. And let's take, for example, the fact that the county issued an alert in August of 2020 that a third party obtained the voter rolls here in Cumberland County and mailed out mail-in ballot applications to voters, including the deceased voters. And it's my understanding, and I'd like Bethany to correct me here if I'm wrong, but once you apply for a mail-in ballot, you're on the mail-in ballot list until you specifically request to be removed from mail-in voting. Mail-in ballots would still be sent to voters on the ballot if mail-in ballots would still be sent to voters if they've requested one since 2020. So again, for this reason, the dead people need to be removed in a timely fashion. As I was thinking of this, I thought there may be two scenarios here. Either the DOH is failing to produce these reports in a quality, timely manner, or they are producing them, and the County Board of Elections are experiencing some challenge in updating their roles in a timely manner. If it's the latter, the commissioner should look into it. If it's the former, then our legislators, or maybe the Attorney General's office, should find why these reports aren't being issued with better accuracy and timeliness. I also wanted to add too that what makes this more troubling is the state was in a lawsuit with the Public Interest Legal Foundation. Last year, they sued the state for more than 21,000 deceased people remaining on the rolls right before the 2020 election, and 9,000 of them were dead for at least 5 years. And yes, they also found that hundreds voted after their death. Via the settlement, they were supposed to demonstrate they removed them from the rolls. So that's why I'm still a little baffled why I've found so many on there. Seems to take a random citizen like me to push the issue, I guess. And I just wanted to wrap this up with a couple questions that I had. After I was processing this, these are the questions I had for you. If an inactive voter requests a mail-in ballot, is there an ID checking system equivalent to the photo license ID check required at the polls? And then on the subject of mail-in ballots, were any mail-in ballots discarded or set aside due to issues, missing signatures, etc., and therefore not counted? And is there a record of that? And finally, is there a record of anyone who requested a mail-in ballot but reported they didn't get one and either couldn't vote or maybe other accommodations had to be made to get him or her to the polls? I think that's all I have today. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Roger. Did you forward, I know you forwarded something to me with some of these questions. Did you forward those to Bethany as well?
The questions that I just rattled off, I honestly kind of developed these remarks late in the game here this week. So I can send you this email. And if you like, I still have all my files from previous meetings. So.
Yeah, I just want to make sure we have a comprehensive list there. You covered a number of things. I think Bethany's prepared to speak to some of them now. Some of them we may need a little time, but I'll turn it over to Bethany and let her address them as best she can, and then let you follow up to make sure we've covered things.
As far as the three questions you just asked, the inactive, if someone's inactive and they apply for a mail-in ballot, you can be inactive for a number of reasons, one of which, the post office took your ID card that we just sent you and returned it undeliverable because for whatever reason, they didn't deliver it to your address, all sorts of reasons. But as far as the ID required on the mail-in ballot or absentee ballot application, you are required to put either last four of your social or your driver's license number. And that goes through the ID verification to those two agencies, just like when you register to vote. So yes, IDs are always checked regardless of whether it's active or an inactive voter. Any mail-ins that were set aside as far as missing dates or signatures, yes, there were. We have a record of those. Well, we have them separated from the rest, I should say. They are set aside. And people who requested a mail-in and didn't get one, their option is to go to the polls and vote provisionally, which many people do. I think as I stated in the last meeting, I don't have the numbers in front of me now because that meeting's over, but the provisional report. The majority of the ones that counted fully were voters who applied for a mail-in but didn't actually turn that mail-in ballot in. So they voted provisionally, their provisional counts. So that's those questions.
Did you wish to follow up, Carolyn?
No, not really at this time, but I guess I was gonna ask if there was a record though of people who didn't get a mail-in ballot and maybe didn't also vote. If that's a record that could be produced. That they requested a mail-in ballot, didn't get one, and never reached the polls. Does that make sense?
There's no record of that I can produce, because someone could also have applied for a mail-in, gotten it, and then decided, I don't want to vote this. So just because they didn't return it doesn't mean they didn't receive it. So there's no way for me to produce a record like that.
Okay.
And I would just clarify also, when you apply for a mail-in ballot, that application is only good for that election unless you select the annual option. And the annual option only means that you're getting a ballot for the primary, and then you will get one for November. However, the next year you must apply again and select annual again. All that annual status means is that we will mail you an application every year, so you have the option to do the annual ballot. It's not a guarantee that from now until forever you'll get a ballot. That is not what that means. You still need to apply. It still goes through the ID process, all of those things. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
So they're getting the application, not the ballot.
Correct.
On a current basis.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. If there's nothing additional under public comment, we'll proceed with our agenda. Thank you, Bethany, for the updates, bonus education. We'll move to item 4, which is the meeting minutes of our meeting of November 15. Those require action.
To approve the meeting minutes of November 15, 2022.
Okay. Do we have a second? Yeah, looks like Gene's seconding. Okay, so it's moved and seconded. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Yeah, we got it. Okay, so that's 3-0. That passed. Thank you very much. We'll move to item 5. We have the discussion and approval of the certification of the 2022 general election results.
So they're in front of you there, the things we need you to sign. I would ask that your approval be to certify the election results with the exception of the office of governor in Lower Mifflin Township due to
Petition for recount.
yes,
Petition for recount in Lower Mifflin Township.
for the office of governor,
Just for the
just
office.
governor.
It's governor and assistant, or,
Yeah,
It's
lieutenant.
one office though.
yeah.
It's one office.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, governor and lieutenant governor, but it's one office.
Okay. All right, so is there any discussion items regarding certification? And if there's not, we'll entertain a motion for the approval to certify.
I'm going to approve to certify the election results with the caveat that we are not approving the office of governor in Lower Mifflin Township.
Okay, it's moved and seconded. I guess we're not worried about that swinging the election by any chance. So, okay. Very good. And, yeah, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Okay, 3-0. That passes. Thank you. All right, and that brings us to item 6, discussion and approval to submit the official returns to the Pennsylvania Department of State.
And I would ask for the same exception there for the office of governor in Lower Mifflin Township. So we'll certify everything but that.
I'll make a motion to approve the submission of the official returns to the Department of State with the exception of the office of governor for Lower Mifflin Township.
I second.
Okay, moved and seconded. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. That brings us to our director updates. So non-agenda topics that you have for us.
Not none.
What are you doing with all your time? All right, so no further updates over what we've received. So there's nothing there. We'll move on to item 8. We do have a request for executive session regarding pending litigation. So we'll be undertaking that at the end of the meeting. That brings us to number 9. We have any additional business to come before the Board of Elections. I'm seeing and hearing none. So with that, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
Move to adjourn.
Thank you. We stay adjourned. We'll move to executive session.